the people who listen to music when they're working, when they're studying.
On a clean day at my
Yo, I'll do that because if I am listening to music, I'm not doing anything.
I'll play the loudest.
Yeah, you can't like do your. You can't fold clothes.
I'm just going to sing and then I'm going to stay in one place.
That's crazy.
Really, that's crazy because it keeps me moving. I'll mop, I'll dance, I'll fold the clothes. Loud music will do.
Like I can sing along while doing the chores.
Yeah, like yeah.
Because today we're like giving you help, but some of the things that helps you in it's like music is as non-ideological as he makes it, can show some flexibility and have Taiwan issue figured out.
All right. Now, talking about Iran, Trump had delayed the visit because of the Iran war. And do you think that conflict would have been resolved by the time he stepped foot in Beijing?
He issued a statement of calming and pacifying the stock market investment circles every other day. So China has a vested interest in all this as well. As a strong partner of Iran, of East, China can certainly use its good office with Tehran to bring about a more sustained ceasefire, given that either side should walk away, especially Washington, should not use negotiations as a distraction, only to come back and retaliate stronger against the government in Tehran. Don't walk back on your promises. This is not what a major country, a responsible power should be doing. China demonstrated this by walking the walk, but not just talking the talk, but walking the walk of being a reliable partner. Now the international community can see who ultimately, at the end of the day, is a reliable partner, is a responsible country on all this. China can help with the United States, but only to the extent that the U.S. is serious about its negotiations with Iran. There are red lines that Iran draws, such as owning capacities of using nuclear materials peacefully. I don't think the United States or Iran can get 100% of what they wanted, but it takes compromises, and China can perhaps play a role, again, this peace. Don't forget, China needs LNG coming through the Strait of Hormuz, so is the United States. China needs exports going through the rest of the world, which needs a recession not to happen going forward. So we have a vested interest in the peace of the Middle East as well.
All right. Now, it's
President Trump was a newcomer himself, but certainly gained experience along the way. And in China, there's a popular phrase going around calling President Trump Trump the nation builder, or 全建国, which means as harsh as his tech and trade sanctions against China might have been, that actually helped China become a innovative superpower, innovation superpower. And now we have 70% of the electric vehicles, 80% of lithium batteries produced anywhere in the world. Our AI GPU or AI chip self-sufficiency rate, according to Morgan Stanley, will grow to about 80% in the next 4 years. So the U.S. sanctions actually propelled the Chinese entrepreneurs to think long and hard on stay away from the dependency on the United States, on Nvidia, whose CEO, by the way, jumped on the Air Force One at last minute in Anchorage, to really rely on nobody but ourselves. And we have delivered. If you look at DeepSeek, if you look at the AI robotics performing martial arts not so long ago, and if you look at the innovative future cities and tech hubs across China. So China is coming to this summit nearly 10 years from the previous one, stronger, more self-reliant, more self-sufficient and more, I would say, assertive. Not assertive in an arrogant way, but assertive in its own hard work, perseverance, and really being, like the art of the war said, know yourself, but also know your enemy.
Now, commentators
and the mines in Donbass are similar to the ones in Barentsburg, so they don't need special training. The miners adapt easily to the work here.
Barentsburg was built around the coal mine. The first level of the mine is 170 meters below ground level. Around 120,000 tons of coal are extracted here every year, providing the village with electricity and heat. But the mine itself is no longer profitable. It mainly continues running so the Russians can justify their presence here.
Constructively get done, such as Nvidia selling less advanced chips to China, and China, of course, buying more soybeans and Boeing airplanes, but also how the Chinese investment can start going into the United States, which has ground to a halt due to America's so-called national security scrutinies, which is totally absurd. Because remember, who was the first person to spoke against the ban of TikTok? It was Donald Trump's grandchildren, and followed by Joe Biden's grandchildren. They're almost begging their granddaddy not to ban TikTok because they're basically using it every day. We reject the generalization of national security as a pretext, and hopefully these business engagement can be practical and can really, as President Xi said, make 2026 a historic year of a turning point, of a milestone of China-U.S. engagement, stabilize relations going forward.
All right, we have to leave it here now. Huang.
Head out to explore the village and seem to be extremely happy with what they found.
Family life in Barentsburg is pleasant. Here, people have to stick together. They stand, so to speak, on the front lines of defending families. Here, there's an almost magical union of all the cells of society. Everything works.
Очень хорошо. But it's in Barentsburg. Residents also endure the economic sanctions imposed by Europe on Russia since the war in Ukraine began. All the products here are imported from Russia. We're allowed to film, but nobody is willing to talk.
This year's BRICS, something that it has done thrice in the past as well. In fact, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar mentioned that India, as president of the BRICS, is taking forward discussions on institutional development, including more and more new members into the BRICS framework as well. The minister also talked about the instability and the crises that around the world today, in today's time, and how the BRICS member nations are only going to act as a stabilizing role, are only going to play a stabilizing role as far as that matter is concerned. Most interestingly, the Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is also in attendance here for the foreign ministers meet. In his official statement here in the meeting, Minister Araghchi mentioned, he talked about the unjustified military action that his country has been facing since the past few months from the United States of America and Israel, and he also mentioned that putting more and more pressure upon Iran is only going to make its resolve stronger and not make them back down. As far as the matter of Iran is concerned, to talk about the Strait of Hormuz as well. As far as the situation in Hormuz is concerned, a spokesperson from the Indian External Affairs Ministry said that Indian flagged vessels are being allowed to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. Further discussions on this matter are expected to take place here in the foreign ministers' meet ahead in time. Additionally, India's External Affairs Minister and the Russian Foreign Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, and Minister Sergei Lavrov, respectively, they held a bilateral meeting last night here in New Delhi ahead ministers meet, where a variety of different geopolitical issues were discussed among the two leaders. One of the key discussions was around the economy and the economic partnership between India and Russia. Minister Lavrov spoke about, as well as Jaishankar, they both spoke about the trade volumes between both the countries. The current volume, if we talk about that, stands to be at 60 billion. And the goal is to reach the mark of $100 billion by the year 2030. Let's take a look at what all else was said in that meeting between the two ministers.
It's indeed a pleasure to be here again and to continue the dialogue which is going from BRICS, where we support Indian priorities and the Indian program. We call it the United Nations, of course, Shanghai Cooperation Organization, G20, which is more important at the time when we have to find global answers to global problems. Problems are created not by all of us, but to resolve them, we join our effort, including in BRICS and in Shanghai Cooperation Organization.
It is our responsibility as Foreign Minister to regularly oversee and review implementation. Constant tending is the best solution for preventing ties. The complicated international situation operates an exchange of views, especially between two trusted partners. Our two nations have a shared interest in maintaining multipolarity.
So what we're seeing here is basically the establishment of a groundwork as far as the BRICS Leaders Summit is concerned, which will take place later next. Also, the presence of multiple foreign ministers and senior ministers here in New Delhi in a time when there are multiple instabilities and is going on in the world tells us that we can expect a significant amount of developments to come around all of those crises and actions that are taking place in the next few days.
News update: Israel ruling coalition proposed dissolution parliament for early election. Prime Minister: Israel opposition leader Yair Lapid said we are ready for early election. News update and headlines on this morning of 14th of May 2026. Trump and Xi Jinping wrap up meeting after 2 hours of talks in Beijing. Trump discusses Middle East, Ukraine, Korean Peninsula in Beijing. Trump tells Xi we are going to have a fantastic future together. Trump tells Xi meeting is honor like few I ever seen before. China and the United States. Xi tells Trump happy for visit as world at crossroads. Xi tells Trump China could come into conflict if Taiwan issue mishandled. Xi tells Trump US-China should be partner, not rivals. China will open wider doors toward Xi to US business leaders. Trump, Xi agreed Strait of Hormuz must remain open, White House announced. Trump Xi meeting was good, White House says. Taiwan says China is so a risk to regional peace stability. Taiwan says US has reaffirmed its clear and firm support for the island. Ex-Philippine drug war enforcer frees Senate refugee. Suspect detained over Philippine Senate gunfire, police announce. Peru's left candidate Sanchez qualifies for presidential runoff, official announce. Peruvian prosecutor seeks prison sentence for leftist presidential candidate. Cuba ran out of diesel and fuel oil amid U.S. blockade. U.S. Senate confirmed Trump nominee Kevin Walsh as Federal Reserve Chair. Moroccan armed force says body of second missing U.S. soldier found. News updates and headlines. News updates and headlines. News update. 1 dead, 31 injured, wave of Russian strike on Kiev. Emergency service announced. Russia launched more than 670 drones on Ukraine. Kiev cut order pre-trial detention for ex-Zelensky aide Yerma in corruption case. Latvia Prime Minister announces resignation over straying Ukraine. Former Deputy PM Angela Rayner says clear of deliberate wrongdoing over her tax affairs in United Kingdom. United Kingdom economic growth 0.6% in first quarter. French authorities blame stomach bug for sickness outbreak on British cruise ship Arrow. News update and headlines. News updates and headlines. Paris Saint-Germain clinch record extend 14th French league title after 2 win. Inter Milan win Italian Coppa Italia, secure domestic double. California says probing possible violation of World Cup ticket sale. 2026 FIFA World Cup. 2026 FIFA World Cup. Madonna, Shakira, BTS to headline World Cup final halftime show. Organizers announce. News updates and headlines. Vessel of UAE coast taken now bound for Iranian waters, UK Maritime Agency announced. Middle East, UAE denies reports of Netanyahu visit to the country. Israeli army says strike Hezbollah in South Lebanon. At least 23 people, including 8 children, killed in Israeli strikes on Wednesday in Lebanon. Lebanon says 10,000 homes destroyed or damaged since Israel's truce. Israel's courting proposed devastating parliament. News updates and headlines. News updates and headlines.
One of the teams reminds me about.
The mayor's speech is being simultaneously translated into Russian.
Norway is a nation built on freedom and trust, something worth much more than oil and gas. Thank you for coming together here. As part of a large community where Longyearbyen and Barentsburg schools, the young and the old, with different passports, can all work together. In the parade, the closest thing to a weapon is the bass drumstick of the newspaper's editor-in-chief who plays in the brass band. Happy National Day.
A collective parade, almost hand in hand, with the hope of being able to get along one day.
The number of bears in Spitsbergen is double the number of inhabitants, so we must stick together. It is important, of course, to live in friendship in such a small piece of land. We must remain united to confront evil together in all its possible forms.
€30 million for its colonies.
It doesn't matter who runs the town and the Russian settlement on the Spitsbergen archipelago. We have a plan, and that plan is very clear. These must be renovated and rebuilt. The infrastructures will be modernized. The transport system will be improved. And we will establish direct connections between Russia and the Spitsbergen archipelago. Our colonies will experience a very significant growth, and they will expand. That is what the plan envisages.
A plan that mainly aims to revive Svalbard's second Russian colony, Pyramiden. A ghost town that was the USSR's Arctic showcase in the 1960s. Russia will build its international scientific research center here with its allied countries, including China and Iran. With one goal in mind, reinforcing its presence.
The acquisition of the trees began at the mouth of the Congo River, in the village of Boba. After conflict with the local king, a Belgian commercial agent, Alexandre Delcommune, expropriated their object.
En vanaf het moment dat hij dus eigenlijk die Missing-Condi neemt als oorlogsstaat, komt er een reactie van de lokale vorst die dat zegt, we willen dat eigenlijk graag terug, want dat is belangrijk voor ons. Dus het is eigenlijk vanaf het begin de vraag geweest om dat object terug te geven aan de lokale gemeenschap. En hij heeft dat geweigerd.
Delcommune was well aware of the power attributed to the statue. He saw it as much more than war booty.
Grande sculpture plantée de diverses lames, pointes de métal, avait comme but principal une protection. C'était quelque chose ce sont des objets rituels importants, qui avaient pour but d'assurer la protection d'une communauté. Donc c'était pas des choses à usage individuel, c'était quelque chose pour protéger
protéger une entité, un village, voire une région?
On peut aller voir l'officiant, lui dire non, moi je voudrais protéger toute ma communauté. Donc, à ce moment-là, il lui dit bon, vous voulez protéger la communauté, j'accepte, mais prenez une lame, soit un clou, vous le léchez vous-même, vous parlez. Vous mettez ce coup-là, votre société est protégée.
For years, Delcommune would use this Nikisi Nkondi to protect himself against theft.
Omdat het effectief een beeld was dat zowel religieus als politiek een betekenis had in de lokale context. En dat werd aanzien als een beeld dat een bepaalde kracht had. En dat heeft ongetwijfeld bijgedragen aan het feit dat Delcommune zo geïnteresseerd was in dat beeld en dat beeld wel meebrengen.
When he returned to Belgium in 1883, Delcommune took the statue with him, and the museum acquired it in 1912. The museum has long kept silent about the crimes and abuses by the agents of Leopold II, for the simple reason that it is the very institution served to promote the king's actions in Africa.
We just got a readout from the White American businesses into China. Remember, the president brought this delegation of 16 CEOs from different business and tech backgrounds. They also talked about wanting more progress on stopping the flow of fentanyl. That's something the president brought up. Now, the Chinese purchases of American agricultural products was also something that was brought up in these discussions. And President Xi expressed interest in purchasing more American oil to reduce China's dependence on the strait in the future. That's a really big takeaway. So we're going to focus on that as well. Also, both countries agree that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And after reading through this readout, there was really nothing in there that said that China was going to help pressure Iran in any way to ending the conflict.
And the outcome was that we won.
And it was accepted by the ruling party.
It was readily accepted.
It doesn't happen like this everywhere.
In the democratic culture and nature of Botswana, when the people spoke, there was no way in which anybody could gainsay or controvert what they had said. And so the former president accepted the outcome, sent out a congratulatory message, held a press conference to congratulate, and publicly declared that he would be handing over, and he did. And that's Botswana. Our democracy has passed all the tests now. It is entrenched, it is a robust, a very energized democracy, and that's what it will be going forward.
Latvia Prime Minister announced the resignation of Australian Ukraine drones. United Kingdom former Deputy PM Angela Rayner says cleared of deliberate wrongdoing over tax. United Kingdom UK economy grows over 0% in first quarter.
Very well. It's a long-drawn process. It goes through many stages. There's due diligence, exchange of documentation. There's a lot that's going on. Botswana is releasing its stake in DBS from the 15% to where we will settle ultimately. Well, we will settle for a higher stake than we currently have. If it ends up as a majority stake, so much the better. But whatever we are able to from the negotiation process, from a clear and also diamond producing countries, right? And it was felt that we should engage with them, see how we can collaborate, because Angola is producing diamonds as well and putting them into the market. In the ultimate instance, whether Angola comes on board with us in its all, however it is done, there has to be some collaboration between us and Angola and Namibia as diamond producing countries, and that will happen.
So they could buy a stake in the...
Well, the IMF, we respect their views, have their views, we have our views. And we hold our views very firmly. It's a matter of national sovereignty for Botswana.
So you
that
disagree?
we disagree. We produce diamonds. Yeah. De Beers is actually 70% Botswana. And if Botswana holds a minority stake in what it controls or should control, then there's something seriously wrong. And anybody who suggests that that situation should continue does not seem to me to have the best interests of the country at heart. And we do, because we are custodians of that best interest. And we take these decisions fully alive to what the implications are. And as I say, it's a matter of national sovereignty for Botswana. And that is not incompatible with the diversification of the economy. Because as the economy sits now, it is almost exclusively reliant on diamonds. Diversification means reducing substantially this reliance or over-reliance on diamonds. And it is an imperative. It's something that is unavoidable. And the evidence of the unavoidability lies in the very experience of the decline in diamond revenues for the country. And so the country is forced, as a matter of survival, to look to other revenue, and those come with the diversification of the economy away from its over-reliance on diamonds. And that's what we are doing.
You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth. You're a great leader. I say it to everybody. You're a great leader. Sometimes people don't like me saying it, but I say it anyway because it's true. I only say the truth.
I hope you appreciate know that because of Secret Service protocols that I don't travel outside of the country with the President of the United States. So on days today, I sometimes feel like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. I walk into the White House and it's very quiet and no one's there, and it takes me a second to realize exactly what's going on. We know that because of Secret Service protocols that I don't travel outside of the country with the President of the United States. So on days today, I sometimes feel like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone. I walk into the White House and it's very quiet and no one's there, and it takes me a second to realize exactly what's going on. We know that.
For its own interest as well. And so we examine every proposition, wherever it comes from, and look at it from the perspective of the best interest of our country.
What about tourism? There's been a lot of controversy.
We just got a readout from the White House on this big bilateral meeting between the two presidents. So I'll read a couple of notes that I've taken away from this statement. They talked about expanding market access for American businesses into China. Remember, the president brought this delegation of 16 CEOs from different business and tech backgrounds. They also talked about wanting more progress on stopping the flow of fentanyl. That's something the president brought up. Now, the Chinese purchases of American agricultural products was also in these discussions. And President Xi expressed interest in purchasing more American oil to reduce China's dependence on the Strait in. That's a really big takeaway. So we're going to focus on that as well. Also, both countries agree that Iran can never have a nuclear weapon. And after reading through this readout, there was really nothing in there that said that China was going to help pressure Iran in any way to ending the conflict. We were wondering if that was going to come up. It has been an incredibly busy day for the president, touring around all over Beijing. The president began his day with a visit to the Great Hall of People at the heart of the city, where he was greeted by President Xi. The delegation heard the national anthem along with a 21-gun salute, and the two leaders then had a bilateral meeting. And the president commented on his relationship with Xi. Watch.
You and I have known each other now for a long time. In fact, the longest relationship of our two countries that any president and president has had, and that's to me an honor. We've had a fantastic relationship. We've gotten along. When there were difficulties, we worked it out. I would call you and you would call me, and whenever we had a problem, people don't know, whenever we had a problem, we worked that out very quickly. We're going to